Welcome to the Orion Sportscast podcast, the most refreshing analysis, insight, and opinions in the world of sports. Here are your hosts, Josh Egan and Brandon Waterhouse.
We're back. Good walk.
Yeah. What? What?
You look so upset. I said that. We're back.
You come out. I bring us in.
You want to redo that?
No, I don't. I'm pissed off now. All right. So the Leafs over the weekend, they played Friday, Saturday night. Friday night, I think most of us would like to forget about that game because that was just fucking abysmal. Saturday was a little bit better. Let's start with Friday's game, I guess. Totally outplayed by the Senators. They gave up. I don't think they went into that game with the right mindset. TJ Brody looked like an absolute mess. Frederik Andersen looked like a fucking pillow in the net. I just don't think the whole team came together. The puck, yet again, was dying on Mitch Marner's stick. He did clean it up on Saturday, though. I'm interested to see what you guys brought away from that game because...
Which one?
The Friday one. We'll start with the Friday one. I don't think that one was received too positively by Leafs Nation.
Matt goes first.
Yeah, Matt. What?
Yeah, I think a lot of people just need to relax, to be honest with you, because it's the second game. I understand that we had high hopes for Freddie coming into a contract year. Like you said, Brody looked abysmal. We definitely we didn't have the best game, but if we got destroyed again on Saturday, it would have been more of a concern. But I think they picked it up. It was what it was, but you gotta have to give credit to Ottawa. There's some of their players are a lot better than I thought.
Are you a Leafs fan, Matt?
No, I'm a Leafs fan, but it's just I don't know. I think we need to relax as fans.
Okay, I got you. My takeaway, I remember the second night of the Saturday, but I remember the first night I was not slandering, I guess that's a bad word. But Joe Thornton, I was pretty upset about the fact that he was kind of very positioned in the lineup, even after our conversations. Again, his continual play kind of suffered, but he finally came through. He scored eventually. I mean, it's a nice bright spot. The guys on the intermission break on TV were talking about how young guys in the locker room wouldn't listen to an older leadership guy if he wasn't producing points. What was your guys' opinion on that? I don't know, Josh definitely would have caught that. You see that, Josh?
Okay, so I gotta be honest, I don't watch the intermission shows anymore.
They're terrible. They're so bad.
Because they're awful. They are absolutely awful.
Kevin Bieksa, Chris Stewart, maybe Brian Burke was in there and someone else, and it's
not so much the people, but I just think it's the way they structure it.
Yeah.
They talk about the weirdest things. I don't understand. It's intermission. You're supposed to get us pumped up. Why are you breaking down something that we know this guy made a bad pass? No shit. Can't you you know what I'm trying to say? When you watch basketball and football, they make it so much more about the team and where they're going, and you just got to be more aggressive. And they actually get into it and they talk like normal people. So I think hockey, especially, you can't get fans when you go to the X's and O crap. Honestly. So it's too much, Josh. Come on. At least
I don't watch it. When the intermission goes on, it's on, but I'm on Twitter.
That's a problem because you just by saying that you get more entertainment on watching people's reaction on Twitter in 260 characters than you do someone getting a national platform with no time limit. That's a problem to me as a fan.
Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. And
I hate it. Wow, what a great conversation piece. I want to mention this on the NBA broadcast because some of them have these old Santa Claus-looking people. I'll say it, white dudes. I mean, it's not very original. You know what I mean? It has to change. You need young people, inclusivity, people from all over the world, young people who are interested in growing the game. You have these old guys who don't have social media, who don't know what's going on, who just talk points. You know what I mean? And we need a change in the world that positions of those type of, you see it. You see Punjabi night in hockey doing some things, Latino American basketball, all that type of stuff. And then you see these people, old reporters, look like Santa Claus. They come in, they don't really follow. They don't know what's going on. They're kind of outdated in terms of how to trend and how to file the game towards the most amount of viewers. And that's the thing. They're not Twitter is where it's going. That's a young population. You have all these Brian Burke heads on the freaking radio.
Yeah. No. I'm glad you brought up Brian Burke because he said after the first Leafs game, William Nylander, 3 points, 2 goals, 1 assist. He had a great game. I think we can all agree that. Against Montreal, was William Nylander not the best player on the ice?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And then he goes on air and says outside of the 3 points, he didn't do anything. The fuck does that mean?
That makes no sense, right?
He goes, he's a power play specialist. Isn't everybody a power play specialist?
You know
Like,
what
and
I
he's-
honestly think it is? And like, I don't want to name people by name because I personally don't think they
No,
deserve
call them out.
attention.
Because I'm getting pissed off with these analyzers who, just because they have a platform, think they're right.
Yeah,
Like,
in my
good.
opinion, like I just think like Brian Burke saying that, I firmly just believe. I know it sounds dumb, but I think he's jealous. I think a lot of old people don't like William Nylander because he's a Swede. He likes his Instagram. He dresses nice. He's original. And the one thing I'll say about William Nylander that I kind of joke about, it looks like he gives no effort whatsoever. But no, let me go.
Yeah, go ahead. I think I know where you're going.
It looks like he gives no effort whatsoever, but that's because he's one of the best skaters in the league. He has the softest hands,
Josh says, "Boom!" That's what he said.
and he can do other stuff as skill-wise that Zach Hyman cannot do. So as much as these Brian Burke or whoever you guys mentioned like it when Hyman goes down, skates, hits, or fights, it's like, why would you discredit William Nylander? Like you said, gets 2 goals and an apple. It's like, where are we going in hockey? Like, isn't that the guy that you want to put on a poster with his hair and give him whatever endorsement? Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, there's no actual reasoning to growing the game and making it entertaining to watch. Because if someone just, Nylander scored 2 goals and you're a kid like, oh my God, he scored 2 goals, I want to be just like him. And you see Brian Burke talking nonsense, you're going to be like, you know what? Instead of shooting and doing stuff, I'm going to go be Zach Hyman in my A hockey. And it's like, where does that get you?
And we're not slandering Zach Hyman. Zach Hyman is an essential part of the Maple Leafs team.
You know what
you're saying? Yeah, what you're saying is built. Okay, so the people who watch the intermission are casual fans.
That's the problem, because casual fans can't watch this garbage because it doesn't.
You want to grow the game of those intermissions.
Talk about what's actually happening on the game.
Right, and like I think what they need to switch to is don't talk about the game. Talk about the players. Do a spotlight on, off the top of my head, Austin Matthews growing up in Arizona. Do 7 minutes on that instead of having freaking, over on NBC, Mike Milbury or whoever it is over there now, Mike Babcock, talk about why a 4th line player is essential to a power play left zone shift or whatever.
Exactly, because if you don't play hockey, what the fuck do I care that a 4th liner does blah, blah, blah.
Like, I'm a diehard hockey fan, but at intermissions now, I take my dog down for a piss, I grab another beer, and then I scroll Twitter. Like, I don't care what these guys have to say at intermission. And, like, the radio shows are getting just as bad. Like,
Bro,
it's bad. Like, I'll call them out right now. Tim and Sid has been shit recently. Because all they're looking for is the hot take. And I don't know if you guys watch Tim and Sid, but we all know the situation with the waiver wire and Jason Spezza and Aaron Dell. And Sid Sixero tweeted today or yesterday, he goes, Jason Spezza has been treated terribly. This was the subtext to it. The subtext was that he'd been treated terribly. And he said his first season with Toronto, benched in the first game of the season. Okay, that was Mike Babcock trying to do like a power move or something. Second season, waived in the 3rd game. Okay, he was waived for a reason. Like, you're taking this out of context. And a lot of these broadcasters are doing this now. I think we have found my trigger comment because I'm so upset about this for some reason.
You know, Josh, just to make you feel better, I'm not defending these Tim and Sid especially, but just to get into them, they have to cover all this stuff. But what people fail to understand is they cover every sport, but it makes them an expert in nothing. Because you talk about everything, but you can't dive into one thing and know the ins and outs. Like, I guarantee you, Tim did not. I don't care who said it. Whoever said it did not know. They just want Spezza on the practice taxi squad. I firmly believe they didn't know that. And like, when you look at other shows in America that get good views, that have Snoop Dogg, Lil Wayne, and big people, it's the ESPN First Take. It's the Skip and Shannon. What they do is get Shannon Sharp, one of the best football players to ever play.
That show.
What?
I hate that show you're talking about.
No. I'm not talking about the shows. I just mean what they're doing is they get experts in all this types of different stuff.
No.
They bring them together.
No, they fake it. They fake the roles of what they do. They don't actually, like Skip and Shannon, they don't hate the guys they say they hate. Like Skip will always talk about LeBron. I hate LeBron, and he would never talk to LeBron in the face. Like, that makes no sense. Like, and LeBron hates that shit. I know that. But at the time, like, he acts like he could beat up LeBron. Like, these old guys have the platform where it's like, yeah, NBA players should come at me, and I should have the power of opinion. It's just like, I hate, and they have such a following, and they have people who are really manipulated by their words.
You know what I think that is, Brandon? Over in the States, TV is consumed on such a mass scale Like
That's what I was trying to. That
like,
was my point.
You have to be out there, and you know what? Now that I think about it, you bring that up with the hot takes and like the personalities. I follow. I don't know if you guys do, Brandon. You might just because of the sports management part. I follow TV numbers very closely and like radio numbers, and I want to see who's on top. And TSN last year in that 4 to 7 hour when Overdrive is on, kicked Tim and Sid's ass. Like they drag them, and.
Yeah,
But now,
Good.
so what they might be doing now is Tim and Sid is trying to rebound and get people back over to them because I read a tweet like that from Sid and I go, well,
That's not them. That's not who they were when they started out.
But that's what I like about over on TSN. I'll watch the TSN intermissions unless Craig Button's on. I'll watch the TSN intermissions because they're not idiots about what they're saying. No, it's because
Josh, what they do, what Overdrive does in all these shows, even skipping shit. I just named it for an example, Brandon. I didn't know you hated them. I wouldn't have brought it up. But what I'm saying, what these people do is they get you so mad because you know their personalities and you know their opinions based on their character. So just for an example, I was watching Stephen A. Smith, and their question literally was Drew Brees versus Tom Brady. Who's the best? And I'm like, can you imagine a hockey game if they went in with the mindset? It's not Edmonton versus Toronto. It's Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews. Who's better? And I think as a consumer, it's so much more entertaining when you have that storyline.
I hate that debate.
Josh, but it's not the debate. It's more of getting your eyes on these people. You just make up the debate as you go, but it's to grab eyeballs and think, oh my God, I need to find out the answer. People still debate, is LeBron James the best baseball player versus like Giannis and they pick Kevin Durant. LeBron's the best. Like, I just think to get more eyes and to get more clicks and do all that stuff, hockey needs to switch it to more a personal mentality to where I'm not just talking about the fourth line. Like you said, Overdrive does good because those guys just talk about anything. It's not all X's and O's. They tell funny stories about their lives. So I know that O-Dog got married 2 summers ago. I don't want to know that, but it's just you listen and you're a consumer and you understand more and it's more entertaining because you understand why they have these takes. When Brian Burke says stupid shit, I have no idea what the point is.
Did you know he drafted the Sedins?
Exactly. But at least when Skip says something, I can tell he's trying to bash LeBron down so LeBron James can be a subject every single show. But if everyone just says how great Connor McDavid is, how great he is, what do you have to talk about? How great he is? Why doesn't someone have, not even a hot take, why doesn't someone just say, oh, Edmonton's never gone far. Maybe Connor McDavid needs to, I don't know, just make something up. You know what I'm trying to say? So I think you need to switch it in a more of like just a better aspect.
Tell me why Jack Eichel is 5 out of 5.
Oh, don't even fucking start right now. So in conclusion, we won't be on Sportsnet anytime soon. So the second period of the Leafs game, we went on a little bit of a tangent there. So let's wrap up our thoughts about that first Leafs game on Friday night. They go into the third period. Tavares makes it 5-3. We thought they were going to tie it up to make it 5-5. I don't know why I have false hope with this team because they just didn't have it together, man. Like that Friday night game was bad. I think we should just leave it at that, right?
Yeah, you want to move on to the highlight goal of the one they won, though. Tim Stützle with a really impressive slap stop.
Right. So that Saturday game, they looked a little better. And there was a little bit of a I don't think any of us thought this because we're a little smarter than that. And we understand how the rosters work this year. But going into the game, it was announced that Jack Campbell's starting and Aaron Dell is backing him up. Did either of you think that meant Frederik Andersen was done with the Maple Leafs?
My initial reaction was more like Freddie is an expiring year of his contract. Jack Campbell and even Hutcherson, whoever all go, we have 2 goalies signed longer than just this year. So why not give Campbell a look? So I personally think after this year, Freddie will be gone, just leaving free agency, and Jack Campbell might be the starter. So I think you have to get Campbell in, especially if he's playing good, more games. So I think
I think I phrased the question wrong. A lot of people thought that it meant Freddie Andersen was on the trade.
Oh, yeah. Just on the Freddie stuff. You're going to see this a lot with because we had 3 goalies on a roster at that point.
Aaron, just for context, Aaron Dell was waived today, so we can no longer really do this.
Yeah. So, but just to let casual fans know, with this taxi squad and rosters, to get your team on the salary cap, you're going to have to do specific stuff. So you saw the Leafs kind of do it with Boyd. And this Anderson thing, it was purely what they was kind of explained by Keith. It was more of a rest thing.
Yeah, I
and
thought
just
it was.
get him.
I thought it was genius, right? Like,
Yeah, it's more of that. And what these Leafs teams haven't done, especially under Babcock, they don't use their full roster.
right.
Like when you could point at guys like throughout the years, like a Corrado, a Levo, a Holland. Why have that guy if you're not going to use him? So I think this and the tax squad and everything they're kind of doing with Robertson, Barabanov is more just utilizing your roster to like the full ability, I would say.
Right. So that just a quick touch on that Saturday game because you kind of teed up what I wanted to talk about next. Good overall game by the Leafs. Matthews finally gets on the score sheet. Marner had a pretty good game. Joe Thornton nets one, but I think like it was a fucking nice goal. I'm not even gonna lie. And I'm rooting for. I'm not rooting for the Sens, but I'm rooting for Tim Stützle because like he's a good player, and I think he could be a 5 out of 5 superstar in this league. Like he's going to be an impact player for that team, like even more impactful than Brady Tkachuk is. He's going to be more impactful than Thomas Chabot is. Not right now, but in a couple years when he enters his next contract, he is going to be a game breaker. And teams in whatever division he falls into after this whole realignment situation is done are going to have to watch out for him because we saw him at the World Juniors. We saw him play against the Leafs twice. I thought both games he was great. And then it was kind of overshadowed because he had this great goal where the puck was, how high did that thing go? That must have been 10, 12 feet in the air. One bounce, slap shot, goal. Jack Campbell after the game says, I just wanted to go over and shake his hand. What a great first NHL goal. And then he draws a penalty. He takes a penalty against Jake Muzzin in the last 4 minutes to kind of cost the Sens the game.
Yeah.
Which kind of sucks.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah. But it just,
it kind of highlights that. Sorry, Josh, but that's definitely something you can take for the whole season. A high and a low as a rookie that can happen in the middle of a game, and you just can't let it affect you.
Right, because he was dummied by Muzzin earlier in the shift. He got cross-checked in the middle of the ice. You just got to remember who you're on the ice with. But I thought it was a good game by the Leafs. Do you have any notes from that, Matt? The Saturday
Yeah, it was
game?
a good game. I would say it's more of a bounce back game than it was how you're going to see this Leaf team play throughout. Because I just think teams like Ottawa, you kind of heard them say it, the quotes like, oh, we played too freely, we did this. But it's like, you have a TV. Tim Stützle is a good player. Matt Murray's won 2 Stanley Cups. Derek Stepan has done stuff in the league. Like, who these guys are. So I think, like, the taking teams, like, lightly is such a stupid excuse that this Leafs team has used for way too long.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Like, I want to see them play tonight. Like, I have no thoughts on this team yet. Like, I think I don't want to say they're mismanaged, but, like, I don't really know, like, what direction they're going in, to be honest with you.
I think it's a locker room issue, and I think that's why they brought in guys like Simon Bogosian and Thornton.
It's a locker room issue, but, like, it's also, I don't want to say it's a talent issue, but it's kind of more of, like, an awareness issue. Like, when you play a worse team, you should actually just dumb it down and beat them because you're faster, you're bigger, you're whatever. But like you kind of alluded to earlier in the show, Josh, like you saw Mitch Marner making plays that you probably shouldn't be making.
Like,
There's a few.
It boggled my mind. He was great in the Saturday game. I'll give him that.
No, I'm talking about the first game. So yeah. You saw Mitch Marner making those plays, taking them too lightly. You saw TJ Brody trying to make stretch pass. Like you saw things that like weren't in our players, like how they play. Mm-hmm. Like no offense to Bogosian or Zach Hull or something, but they should never do a toe drag ever. But I think they go in with the mindset saying this is Ottawa. Let's get stats. Let's kind of do this. But it's like, no, it's Ottawa. You're going to skate fast with them, and you're going to fucking crush them 7-0 because they're that much better. You need more of that mindset than you do. I'm a triple deke or whatever.
Well, there was a play on when did Marner do the triple deke in front of the net and then just fanned on it? Was that the Saturday game? On like his first shift? It was the Saturday. He did a triple deke in front of the net, and then the puck just died. And all he had to do was shoot. He had a wide open net. Yeah. He was wide open on the far post. And he decides to like try to move Murray. I don't know, like, and then he kind of got it together. He had a nice flat stick pickup with a drop pass to Joe Thornton. So I'll give Marner's been 1 for 2 on good games this year, but 1 and 2, sorry. But I think the most consistent player so far for this team has been John Tavares. He's got 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points. He's played well. They go into tonight. So let's talk about tonight's lineup. They're going with 11 forwards and 7 defensemen. Mikko Lettinen's going to draw into the lineup. And the Winnipeg Jets will be without Patrick Laine, who's out with an upper body injury. What can we expect to see out of both teams tonight? Either one of you.
Yeah, I'll go first. This 7D thing, I don't understand why. I don't know if it's Dubas, because I think Dubas is a smart guy, like or Keefe, but I kind of feel like I don't want to say they reinvent hockey, but they do such unorthodox things. Like, I remember early in the summer, they said, oh, there was like a leak, they might go 5 forwards in the power play, and now they're going 7D, and I'm just saying, I don't understand why they have to change up so many things. It's like you're telling me that you'd rather have Bogosian and Dermott in and not have an extra forward for why? And I saw just on the thing, Matthews has played over 21 minutes a night in every game, and I don't think that can continue. So I don't understand why they don't put an Adam Brooks in or even the Boyd guy or just switch around. Like I'm saying, you're not using your roster to the full capability. And now that we have 70, how are you going to see what Mikko Lehtinen can do? Like there's 6 guys in front of him. And I've never played defense on any level, but I've heard defense tell me it's so much harder when we have an extra guy or just too many because we can't get the rotation. So I'm like, we have so many guys battling for jobs. How is Lehtinen going to show what he can do with 6 other defensemen? So I personally just don't understand, especially when they don't have Laine. Why do you need an extra D?
It's to protect him. They want to see what Lehtinen. They want to see what he can do.
This is the NHL. This isn't pond hockey or 3-on-3. There's no protecting guys. If he's not good, he shouldn't be in the lineup. I don't think he should protect him.
Okay, so what's easier to play with? So say they put him in the lineup, right? And they have 6D, and then he's not playing well, so you bench him. Now you're playing with 5D. If you can play easier with 11 forwards than you can 5D. You know what I'm saying?
No, but I'm saying you're putting yourself at a disadvantage when you don't need to. Like Lettinen's a good hockey player. We saw it in the scrimmage game. I know that doesn't mean that much, but you saw clips in the KHL. He's pretty accomplished. So I would say just put him in ahead of Dermott and take Dermott out or Bogosian or whatever you want to do and give him an actual chance rather than do this weird mix-up. Like, Brandon, I know you've played high levels of hockey. Have you ever noticed just like coaches doing weird things like that? Or what do you think? How do you think it affects the boys?
You mentioned on your first point with the 7 defense. I honestly think in my history too, as part-time defense at a high level as well, defenses actually even strive with 5 more than they would with 6 or 7. Simply due to the fact
I played D too. I preferred 5D.
Yeah, and I believe that although depending on the level, obviously you need 6 for endurance and to get to the OHL, AHL, NHL for sure. But I think through junior hockey and amateur hockey and whatever, recreational, I think 5D it develops a type of flow that you can't have with 7 in terms of rotation, awareness of where the other guys are on the ice, and familiarities with partners. You know what I mean? So I think the fact with the defense is that they're always correlated to the quarterback on the ice, right? Regardless, you can be a quarterback on the power play, or you could be the quarterbacks back on the defense. If you're aggressive, good puck moving defense like Morgan Riley, you could be considered the quarterback of the ice shift, that shift when he's on, right? So I think that you don't want to have too many quarterbacks out there. When you have a few amount of quarterbacks, they have a better gauge for the game. And I always love the fact that if you're out there more, you get more of a sense for where the game's going. You don't want to be left out. Sure, it sucks when a defense gets the penalties and you go down to 4, but I think that's when you have such a skilled offense that guys can play like 30, 40 seconds from your defense, from your offense. Like Matthews, I think Tavares can play the puck on defense, and you even put Mikhail for a body back there if you needed something like that. Not that the Leafs are going to go 5 defense any soon, but I want to mention that a scheme that gets defense involved in more of the game is probably less numbers, not 7, that's for sure. In terms of the Leafs, I do agree with the identity problem. I think this is a huge year with the additions of Thornton and Simmons. Like, we still figure out what are they? Are they this pretty team, that highlight team? Are they a consistent team? Are they a dirty, gritty team? And I don't think you can be everything.
Well said. That was fucking fire. But yeah,
What do you think? No, I want to know what you guys think. Like, at the end of this year, what should our identity be? Like, think about it. The Detroit Red Wings, what do they do? Like, not that they're good right now, but when they were winning games, they had structure, and they won games by being down low in defense, and they would block shots. Like, the Ottawa Senators, they were putting guys like Goodbranson in front of shots. Like, you can see that Ottawa is building a tough guy mentality type of roster with guys that will put the puck in the net, but they pride themselves off of playing in front of their goalie first. I think that Matthews, Marner, and even Tavares at times are getting childish with the fact that they want to be on TSN the next morning.
Yeah, their mentality definitely needs to be tough to play against, like especially with the lineup you have right now with high skill, and then you got some bone breakers on there too. Like you have some guys that aren't a joke in the corner. Just doesn't
Simmons
seem
needs to fight again tonight.
like it just doesn't seem like they're capitalizing. Who's Simmons gonna fight though? I don't think the Jets have anybody he could fight.
They still have Truba.
No, he's at the Rangers.
Right. He was a tough guy. That's the thing but that's the problem, right? Go out there and find someone. Really, you need the energy, right? Don't just let a team that's beating you. What's his job? Are you just not going to show up? Just because me and you're in a school project, Josh, and I show up, and the next day we have to do work, and I'm not there. You're just not going to not do anything. You know what I mean? Mm. Like if Simmons has a job, he's got to go pick someone eventually. Like you see the things. Like I'm not. It's NHL. Bodies are bodies. It's not a huge difference. It's not like type where some kids are novice. Whether you have those growth spurts and you have those kids that will literally get. I think every guy can hold their own. I mean, sure you have star power. You're not going to see Scheifele or Wheeler fighting, but you got to find someone in there. Like Ehlers is a tough jabbity guy. Like he'll get in there. It depends on who needs the energy. But what happened when Simmons fought? You know what I mean? I'm not saying that that's going to always happen, but that was pretty significant.
Right. So let's move on. I think we've exhausted this Leafs talk. What do you guys want to talk about first? Columbus Blue Jackets, John Tortorella and Dubois, or the Philadelphia Flyers versus the media? Which one sounds more entertaining?
I love them both, but I think we should save Torts for last. Give him the respect.
All right. So the Philadelphia Flyers started the season well, 2 wins against the Penguins. And who was it after the game? It was
Josh, want me to tee it up? I know the story pretty well.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so just background, Voracek, Jakub Voracek, who's one of Philadelphia's best players, I would say. He kind of is known for saying not crazy things, but he wears his heart in his sleeve. He's a pretty good guy, well respected in the locker room. The only thing is when you make a lot of money in Philadelphia, the media would just come after you. And you kind of seen them, I don't want to say failed playoff success, but him and Drew both got 8-year contracts kind of the same time. And the only year they really kind of went deep or made noise, I would say, is kind of the last one. So there's been kind of this building feud with him in the media because he just talks straight up. And a reporter from the Philadelphia Inquirer, I think his name was Mike, just asked him a question. Voracek literally just said, piss off. Like, I just don't like you. That's kind of how it went.
That's not what he said. He said, well, Mike, it doesn't matter what I say because whatever you're going to write is going to be fucking shit. Then he answered the question and then said, I don't want to answer. I wasn't even going to answer your question anyway because you're a weasel.
That's inferring he doesn't like him. So I was correct.
Well, I wanted to give the full quote for the listeners.
Oh, I didn't know if it. Okay, yeah, that's good. Good
I think the journalism is important for Josh's aspect. You got to get what they said out, right? And yeah. I'm not a journalist. I'm not aspiring to be a reporter by any means. I think it's a pretty tough job as we're finding out. Sometimes you can write some shit that maybe you don't think was too bad, and the players take it a different way.
I did some research and I actually know what he wrote that pissed him off. So
yeah, I saw what he wrote too, and he had to retract some stuff from that article too.
Yeah, so the article, the base was just kind of, he literally said, I don't think Voracek and James Van Riemsdyk are disrespecting the coach. They're laughing. That was kind of what he said full out. I don't know if was he referencing last year or this year with Laviolette, Josh?
It was last year. There was a coaches meeting and Laviolette was kind of ripping into the team, and Van Riemsdyk and Trocheck, was it Trocheck? No.
Alain Vigneault, that's the coach. Vigneault,
yeah. Voracek were laughing on the side.
Yeah.
And he interpreted it as that they were laughing at the coach and then
disrespecting him, yeah.
And then so he published that article, and then the Flyers reached out to him and said, no, this is incorrect. They were laughing with each other, and they weren't even part of the actual conversation going on. So then he had to retract it, publish a new article, and then he published an article, I think it was 3-4 months later, questioning the value of the player who cussed him out. And he's just – I read a couple of his articles, and he kind of seems like the Steve Simmons of Toronto, where he's just – writing hit pieces about players for no apparent reason.
And just because I know the audience is probably mainly Toronto, so they might not know, but the Philadelphia Inquirer is one of the biggest newspapers in Philly. It's not like it's
the Toronto Sun equivalent.
Exactly. So it's not like he's writing a little blog. This is published, and if you put articles in that newspaper, they're assuming you have sources. You have this, you have that, you have that. So it's not like the fans didn't interpret it like he pulled it out of his ass. They thought this was legit. So obviously that's going to cause a big thing. Like, could you imagine if Matthews and Marner were laughing at Keith? Like, they would have a field day in the media. So I definitely think that journalists should kind of be ashamed of themselves, especially because, like, this happened. Why would you ask him the question? Like, Konecki was right there. Like, I think it's kind of having that mental thing. And I saw some journalists kind of back him up and say, oh, if it wasn't a pandemic, he would have went to him and apologized or cleared up the air. And I'm like, well, that's not okay either. Like, they're working. They're professional athletes. Yeah. Like, I know they might have that relationship with the media, but imagine being a hockey player. You're trying to win a cup. Philadelphia's window's pretty good right now. They have young guys, old guys, pretty good mix. And some stupid reporter is talking to you about an article like that. So I'm all with Voracek. I think that Philadelphia guy should be ashamed of himself.
Now that I hear that, and I want to mention the first article that talked about the laughing in the locker room, that goes hard to the players because that's such a bash on team chemistry out in the public. It's like, oh, like if you're a sports fan, you understand like the importance of bonding outside of the rink, and the locker room is a really important place. And when you go in there as a journalist and you try to piece that apart, that's like going to the root of the tree and trying to piece apart a problem. And the locker room is one of the most sacred places, and to have information leaked, like, that's not even really valid, is something that I don't disagree with the way Voracek handled it. Like, bro, stay out of our chemistry. You are doing some shit that's across the line.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird. The article was published like a year and a half ago. That's the only thing.
No, Josh, because of the pandemic, they haven't talked since then. So I think Voracek, he heard his name because they identified themselves before they asked a question on Zoom. Mm-hmm. And I think he was just like, hey, fuck this. Kind of like what Matthews did to Steve Simmons.
Well, that's the relatable, right? But
yeah.
Very strange situation. Johnny Torts. Guy's a clown. Like, speaking up about, the whole Pierre-Luc Dubois situation, saying, yeah, he wants out. I don't think he's handling it properly. He's kind of telling everybody that he does want out. I think he should take more responsibility for it. I think the main question we got to ask here is, why can Columbus not keep young players? Columbus isn't doing so well. I don't think they've won a game this season, and they're going into a back-to-back with Tampa Bay soon. So
think about it. It's that LeBron James effect. It's like, who wants to live in Akron, Ohio? Okay, who wants to live in Cleveland, Ohio? Like, there's not much to do. The city's population, the city life. They always talk about where you're going. You know what I mean? Brooklyn, Tampa, they have a good place for players. It's attractive, right? Cleveland is so unattractive. It has one of the worst living situations probably amongst the NBA in terms of safety, the neighborhoods. Go on.
I don't think it's that. I think it's Torts, because Max Domi was sat in his debut the last 5 minutes.
I don't disagree. I'm not taking away from Tortorella. I'm just saying it doesn't help that they're also in fucking Cleveland or Ohio or some shit like that.
You know the old saying, "But fuck Ohio." That's where they're playing.
Right. But so you keep talking about Tortorella. I'm just mentioning the fact that I think
if you're playing on a team in the middle of nowhere but you're winning, you don't care, right? Because half the season you're on the road anyway. Yeah, you half the year you're on the road, and then in the off season you can go live wherever you want, right? But if you're playing somewhere you're losing and your coach is being a jackass in the change room, he benched probably one of his best players for the last 5 minutes of a game. He's constantly screaming at players, which in today's game doesn't work. I don't know. Like, Matt, I'm interested to see what you think, because I know you'll have a lot to say on John Tortorella and the way he's dealing with the situation.
I already told you I think he's outdated, so I think I have my opinion on this.
Yeah, he is. He's outdated.
Yeah, so just my opinion, because I'm always because we're talking about journalism and stuff, and I think people need to know that this was not a scrum. John Tortorella called in to a Columbus radio show.
Yep.
It's like, what? This, you didn't even, I don't know if he, Dubas calls in Tim and Sid. I don't know if it's Columbus's equivalent, but I don't think so. I'm not sure. But I'm saying you're adding fuel. Yeah, I don't think it was. You're adding fuel to the fire by giving something that you don't need to do. And I personally think, just to talk about Columbus, Ohio, and Cleveland, that, yeah, it's a bad place to live, but I agree with Josh. If, you pay your players, which Columbus doesn't, Dubois got 2 years at $5 million, and, just say yes or no. Do you guys think he's a $7-8 million player? Definitely more than 5, right?
More than 5, less than 8.
Okay, yeah.
6.
Exactly. And what about Werenski? Because he got 3 years at $5 million, too. He's more than 5.
More than 5, but, not by much.
Yeah, but even if it's 6, my point is you have such a long time locking up star players. why would you not just say, we believe in you, we want you to stay? Maybe not even fire Torts, but we will overpay you just so you can look past blah, 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 blah. Like, you look at I don't think they have a player making more than $5.8 million. And I don't think in today's society, in today's league, you can run an organization like that. They do all these trades, they bring in random people, they don't play their kids. And on top of that, like Brandon said, you don't live in a fun city. So, like, what attracts me to that location? But if I was the owner or Yarmar Kekalainen or somebody, I would get Dubois, Domi, Jones, Werenski, and just people I want to build the team at and say, okay, we believe in you. I'll give you long-term deals, maybe $1 million over your market value. So Dubois, I'll give you an 8-year at $7 million and just assume you're growing to that. I'll give you one of you the captain instead of Nick Foligno. So what I'm trying to say is, being a small market team, you have to do things that are unconventional to make star players want to stay and attract star players.
You say that. I think you only have to do those things if John Tortorella is there. I honestly think he's the core issue, because if you bring up all these issues that Columbus have had, who's been involved in all
Hey, what do you think of the Blue Jackets? What's the first person that comes to mind?
John Tortorella.
So,
right?
Yeah, but firing him doesn't neglect that it's not the best place to play. Like, you know what I'm trying to say?
But it could be better. Right? Like, you bring in a new coach, like someone newer. Like, I'm sure there's somebody in the AHL who could take his job.
Literally anybody else. No offense to Torts, but literally anybody else.
No, like a qualified coach. Like, I'm not saying throw me in there tomorrow. I mean, if Columbus called.
Okay, well, I wasn't suggesting that.
Yeah, but like, I think he might be the core of their problems there, because players don't want to play for him anymore.
And also, just kind of like, I saw Columbus fans go on Dubois' Instagram comments just roasting him. But just to make them feel better, I'll just kind of say this, that when you're a team like that, that's had no team success, that's won one playoff series, don't take it personal like, oh, Columbus is a terrible city. It's like, you can't expect anyone want to go to a place that's never been out of the first round only once. And when they did, it was literally them sweeping Tampa. Like, that was, I don't want to say it was a fluke, but like, how many more times that can happen? The President's Trophy winner gets swept. So I think Columbus needs more success. Just personally tell you the truth.
That was a crazy series, that was. But man, that was nuts. Okay, I think that wraps up most of the NHL news. Do you have anything else to bring up?
Me, personally?
If you want.
This has been a long one.
Yeah. All right, let's do our I know, Brandon, you wanted to do a debate, but I think a good debate is going to be our top, our tier 5 NHL players.
Yeah, okay, we'll do the Jack Eichel thing to end the show. How's that sound?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, Josh and Brandon, you guys go first, and then I'll clean up Josh's mistakes.
What am I doing?
Well, you're gonna say something dumb about Jack Eichel, I'm assuming.
You just told me to do something. I don't know what I'm doing.
Talk about Eichel. Why don't you think he's good? Or 5? Why?
Okay.
Like, yeah.
Okay. So he's supposed to be. So you look at what makes a superstar. A superstar is somebody who can carry a team to success. What is success? A success is a championship win. How do you get to a championship? You make the playoffs. What has Buffalo not done since Jack Eichel got there? Make the playoffs. McDavid arrives in Edmonton. What have they done? They made the playoffs.
Once.
Still did it twice.
What? No, they lost in the play-in last year.
All right, fair enough. Whatever. I'll give you that one. And then Matthews arrives in Toronto. What do? Make the playoffs every year he's there, except for the play-in. Sure.
Marner, Nylander, they have others, but okay, keep going.
Okay, but Matthews is the superstar. We're looking at superstar level players. Okay. Eichel arrives in Buffalo. What do? Lose. They have not made the play. They haven't even sniffed the playoffs. They didn't even make the play-in round, right? And Jack Eichel's there. What did they do to help Jack Eichel? Bring in another superstar player in Taylor Hall. So,
well, think about it. You also have a couple. Do you call like guys like Reinhart a bust? Like, was he not a top 5 pick? And
he was a
like,
bust. He was second overall.
He's a bust. Yeah.
Like, what? Like, that's not. I don't know. Like, it's not necessarily. You say, Matthews had Marner and Nylander off the jump, but like, okay, I think pretty sure Reinhart was there, so that was a pretty bad draft. I'm sure there was better options now.
Yeah, I don't think Eichel brings what they thought he would bring. And that's why he's not making Matthews money. Like, he's only making $10 million a year. So
what does Jeff Skinner play? Is he still on the Sabres now?
Jeff Skinner is on the Sabres making $9.5.
He's kind of wrenching that out.
What a terrible contract that is. But still, like Jack Eichel, yes, he's a good player. I just don't think he would be in that top tier of NHL players. Like, let's name, like, my top 8 would be like just thinking of players that carry teams, you're looking at Ovechkin, McDavid, Crosby, Stamkos, Matthews,
Kucherov.
Well, I said Stamkos and Kucherov kind of play off each other. I guess you could put one of them in there, depending on the year.
What about Patrick Kane?
No, I go with Taze on that one. You got McKinnon, like those level of players, and then I just don't think Eichel fits into that class.
I think he's on the B tier as well. If we were making a pyramid, A, B, C quality players that get paid, a decent amount, let's say above $3 million or so. Like, Jack Eichel is a point away from being up top. Like maybe it's a playoff appearance, maybe it's a second. Like who knows what it is? But I think he's done a lot individually, sure. But what's the narrative? He's kind of the guy that leads the losing ship.
Taylor Hall dragged the Devils into the playoffs a couple years ago. Jack Eichel hasn't been able to do that. You go. Like a superstar on a bad team gets that team into the playoffs.
Or even like close. Like, you know what I mean? We want to mention that even when Jack Eichel was there, they were still bottom feeding off of the fish floor. Like they didn't even budge. You know what I mean? It wasn't, I'm not here to bash on Eichel, but like, think about it. You're right. Like even a substantial increase in position in the standings would be like not substantial, a minor. You know what I mean? A position every year. They would literally, they'd be sinking, and it was like, okay, well, there's Jack Eichel. He can't lead the whole way, but okay, maybe win a couple of games.
Exactly. Matt, tell us your thoughts on this.
Yeah, so I kind of disagree with you guys, just in the terms of like a lot of guys you mentioned that are better than him. They either have teammates that you also mentioned. Example, you put Taze in and not Kane, which kind of doesn't make any sense because Kane's got 100 points like 5 times. But it doesn't matter.
I don't agree with the fact. I think Kane's – sure, Taves is nice and he's a good captain and like he's that type of guy.
Kane won Conn Smythe.
Production-wise, I think I'm talking Kane. Anyway, sorry, go on.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Just kind of building on that, I just kind of look at it as, would you say Jack Eichel is a franchise centerman? Just yes or no, quick. Not even like a 5-star, but I mean – if he's the number one center on your team, just to start.
Okay, how about this? I have a contrary.
But like, what are my options?
No, Josh, I'm just saying you're a new owner. The only thing you have is Jack Eichel as the number one center. Are you comfortable with that? It's yes.
Well, yeah, but I'm gonna try and get someone else. Like,
who do you take over? Do you take Jack Eichel or Patrick Laine?
No, dude, Eichel. But I'm talking about purely centerman. That's the best. You have to think about it. To his peers. Like you can't compare Eichel to Hedman or Eichel to Vasilevsky. Like, so is he not a top 10 centerman? Like, yeah. You can't name 10 centermen better than Jack Eichel.
Matthews, Tavares, Crosby, McDavid, Draisaitl when he plays center. I could keep going if you want.
You only named 5, Josh.
Taves. Patrice Bergeron. Alexander Barkov.
Getzlaf. Like, I can keep going.
Getzlaf is not better than Eichel, Josh.
I would take Getzlaf. Well, maybe not, actually. You probably got
Dude, no. And you think Tavares is better than Eichel? Everything you said about Eichel was John Tavares when he played for the Islanders.
No, it wasn't. Tavares made the playoffs.
Once.
Yeah, they did.
They still made it.
But he had like 9 years and he made the playoffs once. Jack Eichel hasn't made it in his first 5 years. Why are we killing a guy
4 more years?
He's had nothing. He's had nothing. He's played in a top division where his
John
whole career.
Tavares played with crap players in New York and he made it. He made a second round.
Dude, no, but they beat Florida. Like, come on, let's think about it.
So Buffalo can make the playoffs and beat Florida.
Yeah, but I'm saying if Buffalo makes the playoffs in the next 3-4 years, would you be surprised?
No, I have them making the playoffs this year.
Okay, well, I can't talk to you. That makes no sense if you thought Buffalo's going to make the playoffs this year.
Well, because Boston's missing.
Boston looks flat now that I have the choice. I'm going back. I would like to go back. I don't want to because it still might happen, but I think Josh is right. Boston looks absolutely ghost town out there, and why not put a little bit.
Right now, I'm feeling so hot about that pick. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm feeling good.
Okay, but just to wrap up the Jack Eichel and kind of say my points, is I just think when someone's been in the league 4 or 5 years, they've been an all-star ever since, They had a 17-game point streak. They had like a 10-game win streak that one year, and that's how Jeff Skinner got paid. They showed flashes with Buffalo. Like, I kind of feel like you're just kind of look at where they picked, and it's like, oh, they finished bottom 10. But most of their drafts have been from the 8 to 12 spot. So, like, they have shown potential. And Jack Eichel, he was an MVP candidate last year before he got hurt for a little bit. That's true. And I just personally think if Jack Eichel's on the trade market today, you're talking 2 first-rounders.
Okay, yeah.
A roster player, and like 2 prospects. How can that not be a marquee guy when he gets that type of return? And we have to remember, you're talking about someone who's 23. Like a lot of the guys you mentioned, like Taves and Kane, they played with each other, and they had like 7 Hall of Famers with them. So I think we should give Jack Eichel more credit in the fact that Buffalo's been the worst run sports organization probably the last decade, and they were bad before he got there. And yeah, they're the worst sports organization last decade. They're one of them. That's a fact.
You got the Cleveland Browns down the road.
Cleveland's good now.
They're good now.
Yeah, but Buffalo's not. So do you understand?
Yeah, they're not good because Jack Eichel's not a superstar.
Okay, if you don't think he's at least a superstar, that's kind of a problem.
He's not in my top tier. He's just not. Like, I haven't seen enough from him yet. Like, get your team into the playoffs.
I think that's kind of dumb, Josh. Just tell you the truth.
Or score more than 40.
Okay, that's fine.
Like now that Taylor Hall's there, do something.
Okay, Taylor. Okay, yeah, whatever. It's fine.
Okay. Tell me this: Taylor Hall and Jack Eichel are there now. Okay.
Taylor Hall should not have won the MVP that year. That was McDavid's trophy. That's just a fact. So, like, I don't want to say Taylor Hall is overrated, but like you're getting say there's a superstar. It hasn't gone good, and the guy you're going to put to help him is Taylor Hall. That's not a recipe for success. It's like 2 guys with the same problem, and you're putting them together. Like, what did you expect?
Taylor Hall and Jack Eichel, that's pretty good for Buffalo. Like, that's going to help them immensely.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that's only for this year. Like, Eichel being you know what I'm trying to say? They played 3 games together. So, like, him being I don't understand. I just don't understand where you're coming from, just to be honest with you.
I just don't think it is that level has been reached yet. Like Eichel, maybe if he was on a different team, I think differently, but I just don't think he's there yet.
Okay.
So that's all I'm going to say about that. Anybody else got anything? Brandon's messaged the group chat saying he's tired, so there we go, wrap it up. Brandon, we have school starting Wednesday, so when are we back? It'll be a weird schedule coming up.
You tell me.
What time does our class end Friday?
Yeah, I mean, good question.
We might be back Friday. Friday or Saturday. We'll see.
All right.
So I guess the question comes down to it. Matt, will you be back with us for the next episode?
I get an invite for the next episode?
Invite's extended. Do you want to accept it on air?
Well, isn't my PTO up? I thought this was the last day, no?
I'm offering you a contract.
Yeah, I'll be back, boys. I'll be back.
All right. So I think, Brandon, should we make it official? Do we have a 3rd member?
Coming soon to an Instagram feed near you.
All right. Stay frosty.
See you, boys.